Well, good morning, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. Right, 1994, 95, I think, when this came out. It's going to be interesting to talk about this one. I've just completed this week. I found it a bit of a slog, actually, getting through certain parts of it. Right, it's Earth 2. Deborah Farentino, Rebecca Gayheart, gosh, she was a babe, she was. Clancy Brown as John Dysinger, his daughter, Ulysses Adair, who's Devon Adair's son, which is Deborah Farentino. It's set on a ruined Earth at the beginning. There ain't much left of mankind. They're all living in space stations, just mining the planet. There is people that live on Earth. But it's never really said about life on Earth. We get bits about it. But there seems to be like some kind of oppressive government called the Council, which sits over like you've got like wealthy people on certain space stations, then the population, then there's like another class on Earth that are mining and living on Earth, trying to make a life for themselves. They do have interstellar travel, but not warp speed. So it starts off that children, the government are covering up now, the council. On the space stations, certain children are being born with a thing called the syndrome, which messes them up. It does things to the body and that they have to wear these suits, but they don't make it past 9. There's a billionaire. She's a billionaire. She's called Devon Adair. Her father built the space station. He had something to do with it to sort of save the human race. And obviously this council came out of it and it's been dominating since. Now, they do send spaceships out to other planets like cargo ships and this. I assume they must have a colony or two out there. Or they're looking at, well, we find out they're looking at 5 worlds to colonize, but Earth 2 is the one that shows a lot of promise. Now, there's a thing called the Eden Project. Devon Adair, it took her 6 years, but the council have been trying to stop her from going. Because if they go, the people are going to want to go. They're going to lose control. So it starts off really good at the beginning. The pilot episode, I have to say, is exemplary. The pilot episode's really good. I was quite blown away by what I watched the first time. Because I remember Earth 2, it came out on video. Obviously, it was in America. You know, we had Sky. But before it came on Sky, I was in a video library, and there was a big poster Earth 2. And I thought it was a film, so I rented it, and I watched it. I thought, this is good. And then I realised it was a TV series. But then I thought, is it a cancelled pilot? Sorry, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Start being up for long. And she puts all the money and everything into this thing called the Eden Project for 250 families. And a lot of these children have this syndrome thing. And they're set off. They're meant to go at a certain time, but the council's put a bomb on the ship. And somebody sends them a news broadcast 24 hours ahead that they've all been blown up in space. So they decide to launch the ship illegally. And everybody lives in these big space stations. Now, the CGI for the space station is quite impressive. And the ship, they launched like a day early, unofficially. And they get out and she's talking to this fellow, one of the council members on screen. And he's going, oh, you know, what are you doing and all this? You know, we're trying to help you and, you know, you're safe here. And she's going, no, my son has to live. So they escape from the space station and go into deep space and they find a bomb. And the planet's GR291 or something like that it's called. But let's call it Earth 2. So they're in space, right? For 22 years. It takes 22 years to get to this planet. So they all go into hypersleep, which is pretty cool. That's what I like about this, because there's sort of some kind of realism to it. So it takes 22 years to get to this planet, and they all wake up. But the ship, they disengage. They put something in orbit. I think they put like the other part of the ship in orbit, but their ship crashes because it's been sabotaged again by a member of the crew who was brainwashed. I mean, it gets more insidious as we go along. So everybody escapes in escape pods, and they all sort of crash down that planet. Devon and their team end up somewhere, and they've got a couple of. They find a cargo pod with vehicles. There's about 17 of them. So there's other members of the crew dotted around the planet. And they work out that there's so many that New Pacifica. There's some kind of colony that's already been built, assumed by robots. There's some kind of installation there where they've got to go. It's called New Pacifica. It's like it's been set up. So I assume this was built a while back. It never really explains that, but it's there. It's there, right? So I assume robots built it, and they're coming to. There's like two alien races we know of on this planet. There's ones like the Terrians. They're like Aborigines. They like live in dreamscape, and they can like tunnel through the land, and they're like part plant, part muck. The part plant and part something else. They feed on photosynthesis, and they're telepathic. They have these spears where they can create like bioelectricity, and they communicate via telepathy. Now they land on this planet and they come across the Terrians. And the commander, Richard Bradford, the man in the suitcase, yes, remember that. Well, this don't make sense. I'm going to go into this. Let's just get the story done. So they land on the planet, and they're on this planet, and obviously the kid, he's like in suit, and they're trying to. They find a cargo pod with some vehicles, but a lot of stuff's been nicked, and it's been it's been savaged, right? So then, like things happen, and the Terrians get a kid, and they do something to the kid, and that is like they keep sending Alonso, that one at pilots. He keeps getting like telepathic messages. They're communicating with him through his dreams. That's how you talk to him, and the kid gets killed because this syndrome thing. It's something to do with the planet's a living entity. It's like everything's balanced out on this world. It's all sort of balanced out, and the kid's killed, and he becomes sort of part Terrian, right? And then and that's it. It's sort of that's the pilot episode done. They like she's given a monologue, and they're walking and staying and having adventures every week or situations. Food's running out. There's no power. There's a thing with the Terrians and all this. So now and that's like the basics of it. But then you had a conspiracy with the council government back on Earth, and a spy amongst them. And this is it. Now the doctor, she works for the council, and she's in contact with them via VR. So I assume that this is what you're thinking, that using VR, it's instantaneous intergalactic communication, but it's not. She's been talking to a computer in orbit, this supercomputer, which the council put there on one of the first missions 50 years ago. And it's monitoring them. And I assume that's sending information back to Earth, but I mean, I don't know how long it takes them to get the communications. Now, the council has plans to colonize the world, and they know about the Terrians because 20 years before, they put a load of penal colonists on the planet to see, and they put these things in them to monitor them to see if they can survive on the planet. And Devon's kid, now Devon, who's the leader of the group, she like works out that they're after a kid, because we find out with this like avatar thing, it speaks to this doctor because she gets exposed as a spy. And I mean, there's quite a lot going on in this. And you know, with the Terrians, then we get to meet the Grendlers. These are like these like lizard-like type things that wear they wear this primitive form of clothing. All they want to do is trade and steal everything. But they are quite advanced now. When their saliva can cure any known disease, but they've got a thing for human blood. They don't eat us, but they like human blood. I don't know. It's addictive. Never really goes into this. A couple of things like you're watching that don't really make any sense. Now, at the end of the pilot episode, we see another human being. That's Tim Curry, and he's in it 4 or 5 episodes. He turns up. He starts manipulating people in the group and that until they expose him, and they find out that he was a criminal sent there years ago, you know, and there's others. And this is what sort of like becoming into that there's other people there. And when they sort of like catch him, he's caught some Terrians and he's punishing them like they're all his slaves, and he manipulates the Grendlers. And he's trying to steal all their stuff, and he's after a roller. But they get exposed because Danziger, Clancy Brown. I mean, the starring in it's quite big. You've got Rebecca Gayheart, Deborah Valentino, Clancy Brown. He's meant to be like the bad-tempered hero father type single father character. She's single mother. Obviously, there's going to be romance. You can tell it's building towards something between them. You've got Yale, who's like, well, he comes across as being like, he's like a teacher, but he's part cyborg. And the doctor, she's genetically engineered. So, I mean, there's a lot of things been going back on Earth. They are very advanced, actually, back on Earth for the technology and that. And it comes out that every week there's this weird thing with the Terranians, like always sending weird psychological messages, and they're all running around trying to work it out, and then you've got the Grendler situation, and then you do get annoyed with kids actually, because they do get on your nerves after a couple of episodes. And Earth 2, it runs along quite now. I'd say the first couple of episodes, especially the pilot episode, is really good. And when the conspiracy thing starts and her being a spy, I'd say so about episode 8, when things start coming out that there's 5 worlds that they're going to colonize, but Earth 2 looks the best one to do. So basically, they're going to conquer it. But they can't conquer the planet, because if you start wiping out the Terrians, you're going to kill the planet off. It's all like, there's a lot in this which they shouldn't have bothered with, to be honest. I sat through 21, 22 episodes, and it wants something I could sit and watch one after the other. I had to do a couple of episodes a night because I was getting bored. I mean, it's like somewhere they lost the story. I think the grounding's right. Like with the conspiracy, I was sort of interested when the doctor was talking to the Avatar, from the council, which was really good. I did like the Terranian thing about these aliens connected to the planet. They're not primitive. They just take life in another way. The Grendlers I find a bit pointless. They were a bit silly. But yeah, they're sort of cute as well. Oh yeah, then we've got the cute little alien thingies. Now, in pilot episode, Richard Bradford, he was the commander. He ended up getting the little girl. She finds this cute looking thing, and you know, obviously that got dropped pretty quick. The cute alien thing didn't work. I think they dropped it, and it looked like he were going to attack it, and it shot him with one of its nails. And it stunned him, and then they all thought he was dead. But apparently, when they shoot you with the claws or the nails, it's you're knocked out for 48 hours. Anyway, so they kill him off in first episode, which I thought, well, that was a waste, because I quite liked his character, you know. And then it's all like next episode, he's back again running about, and then Tim Curry's character catches him, and he gets eaten by Grendlers. So I found all that pointless. Like, what point in that bringing him back just for the next episode, you know? So we get the prisoner thing, right? So after that, the kid's cured, and they're on the way to Pacifica. each week there's a different thing. Obviously, it's like, going on. There is a two-parter which is absolutely boring, right? And there is some time travel in this, and there's an episode later on down the line where the human race has colonized part of the planet, and there's like we seem to have took the planet from the Turanians, like, and her son Yuli, who had the syndrome, he's like leading a resistance force, and his mother's on government and trying to come to an arrangement. This greedy corporate type wants all the Turanian land. I mean, it's like time travel through Dreamscape, which is a bit, I don't know how to say, it's like, it worked. I have to say it did work, and it was interesting seeing, like, how the human race, what it'd be like on their world 20 odd years down the line. So we move along. Now, there's Rebecca Gay, I forgot, and her husband. He worked for court, he worked for council, and he got stuck on shit with his wife. And they're quite an interesting couple. They're the comic relief, but he's like selfish, and but she's not having it. She's like, she pricks his conscience quite a lot because she's a really good person, and she sees good in him. And I found them quite an interesting dynamic, It's sort of, I mean, the characters in this, and then you got the supporting like actors that pop up now and again. And it's not bad. Earth 2 had a lot of potential. Now, this is the 100 and Defiance 20 years before all that came out. So this is the forerunner of that, like Defiance of the New Frontier. This is what it is, pioneers and the New Frontier on this new world. And obviously, I think as the seasons would have gone along, if we'd have got a season 2 where we're going to go in a minute, which were planned. But season 1, the problem with season 1, there's a lot, the concept of this is very good. And like I said, the pilot episode stands out. I thoroughly enjoyed the pilot episode. It's intelligent. The acting's great. There's a lot in it, and you get fascinated by Earth 2, this world of these strange things that live there. But they only focused on the 2 alien race, like the Grendlers. All they do is like moan and make noises and want to swap things or to steal off you. And the Turanians that are constantly like coming out with stuff in your dreams and this weird thing when they need the humans' help and they'll help us. I don't know. It's like, I'd say the Turanians are far more advanced than us, like on a spiritual level. They've worked out like where we've destroyed our planet, they work in nature with their planet. And it's like they're quite welcoming, to us as well. They're sort of quite open to it because they're interested in her kid. He's like the doorway between us and them. So it was sort of interesting with today. But again, when we started getting into their culture a bit, it did get a bit boring. So then we did get into like other humans on the planet, right? So like we found this colony, and there were like all these people that lived with Turanians, and they apparently there was a leader there who had a twin sister, and her suspension pod cracked, and she grew old in suspended animation. She resented the twin brother, and apparently he was going back to Earth through the dreamscape, walking around the space station, fell in love with Devon, and they were at it. And he told her to come to Earth 2 for the kids to be cured. That's sort of like, yeah, all right, we're interested. And she was drawn to him, but sister killed him, sort of. And then Danziger killed. I mean, this episode, it was all a bit monotonous, which sort of started like taking a lot of Earth 2 down. Because the problem is with Earth 2, there is a lot of boring bloody episodes in it. No, there is. There's quite a few boring episodes, and that annoyed me. I sat there and I was like, oh, for God's sake. I actually speeded one of the episodes up. Now, on the last couple of episodes, it starts picking up again because we go through this like monotonous fight. I'd say about 7-8 episodes of pure boredom, right? And then finally we get somewhere like, because you want more about the council and its agenda, and you want to know more about Earth and the space stations and all this. There's a lot that could have gone with here. And there could have been, obviously, I assume there was other alien races on the planet, which would have been interesting, like, because they have to get to the other side of the continent. So there must be other things. I mean, there's one episode where there's spiders, right? One positive spider, one negative spider, and there's like a tunnel in a wall. And if you cross through the tunnel, you teleport to the other side of the planet, right? I mean, there was stuff like that which were really interesting, you know, which like it were like using, you could teleport across the planet from certain point, but you've got to put these two spiders on a web. One's positive, one's negative, like I was saying. And then you can do this. And that was interesting because they got to like an ocean, you know, and you're thinking, well, on this alien world, what's in there? You know, there was so much they could have touched with this. But it was, yeah, like standalone, like they were running out of food in one episode, but in the episode they find food, or one of them's got a disease and then passes it on. Then the doctor cures it. Then the conspiracy thing, which kept it going. The characters, like Devon's leadership. I mean, this was like just before Star Trek Voyager, you know. And she was, Devon Adair's an amazing, strong leadership character. Now, Clancy Brown, he's interesting, but I think his character was quite wasted. He should have, I don't know, they could have done a lot more with him, but I did. He was like very MacGyverish, but bad-tempered, you know. And then all the other characters that went were like Alonzo and the Dreamscape. I mean, all that was sort of interesting, but I mean, he was the pilot of the ship and he wanted to get back into space and all this, but he was gradually becoming a bit stale. And he had a relationship with Doctor. They were trying to get this relationship between him and Doctor, and it just didn't go anywhere. I mean, the thing is with Earth 2, there's no passion in it, and that's the problem. There's no passion. You know, everything's set out right. I mean, this series has everything there. It really does. And it could have gone so far, and it could have been up there with the classics. Honestly, it started off so right, and then it became so boring. And then the last few episodes, it livened up. Now, I could go over all episodes, you know, but I'm not. How do I feel about what's in this? It was okay. It wasn't something I'd go back to again. I don't think, you know, I'd probably rewatch the pilot episode. But the whole thing of it is yeah, it gets very slow. It's talky and boring, and that's it. You know, I mean, there were stories in it where you think there is something, and then it just died a death. Oh, they never picked up on it again. And that's the problem with Earth. So now the question is, could it have been a classic? Now let's go into season 2. Now there was a promo film made, but I think it's fan made, to be honest. I've watched it, and it is on YouTube. But there was a treatment release for season 2 that does exist. And they were going to retool the whole show, and I think they were going to make it more action, liven it up a bit. Like they were going to not turn John Danziger into a villain. He was going to become like challenging Devon's leadership, because they find New Pacifica pretty quick apparently, and they get there, and then they bring the colonists down from the orbiting ship. All 250 of them. There's going to be a new character called Isaiah. He was a captain or something. He was going to be in charge of security. And they were going to add all these new interesting characters in this town. Obviously, we're dealing with the syndrome with the kids and all these new characters. And they were going to bring in other alien sort of races and the council's agenda, which I think season 2 would have, if it had gone there, I think it could have saved Earth 2. I really do, but it sunk so fast in the ratings after about 7 or 8 episodes, you know, and it's such a shame. So season 2 would have been good. I think there was potential. It's a shame. I think by the end, how I'd have played this out, that you see, the thing is, I mean, every week, I mean, like the walking around, they end up in a situation. You know the story. But in this, then, for about 5 or 6 episodes, they found a camp of some scientists that lived there. I mean, a lot of human beings on this planet, you know. There seems to be a lot of people there and little installations and tents and bubble like dome things set up by human explorers, you know. So they find they spend about 8 episodes living there, you know, because they can't get out of this mountain pass. I mean, there's one episode where they get infected by this pollen and it's doing stuff to them. And at the end, they felt driven to get to this hurling ground and they spit this pollen out, and then summer's restored. I mean, stuff like that really got on my bloody nerves, you know. Honestly, no, seriously, this is what happened. And, you know, I don't know how I feel about her too. I want to say it's an amazing series because I could see the vision for this. I could see the big picture. But yeah, I'm going to give it the title. It could have been a classic. Why? Because the pilot episode and where this could have gone. And the acting cast is very good. Just the writing let it down in the middle. This got bad in the middle. I mean, there was one episode where they had this robot running about, right, from Earth called the Z. And it had these these bullets, right? And it fired them. They were like drill bullets. And the bullet had a drill on and it shot you. And it drilled through your body. And then an hour later, it blew up. And they said the council and its walls on Earth created these like super soldiers. And there were about 14 of them. They dropped them all off on this planet. And the Z were going out killing out colonists and taking the name. So, and they took it out in the end. I mean, you know, and the Z self-destructed. I mean, it was half human, half machine. I mean, this is it. There's a lot of things back on Earth like cyborg technology, genetic humans, and this disease, and there's a load going on. Now, the meet the creators, final episode, it's like there's a big sort of, even final episode was a bit ridiculous. They find a ship, right, crashed 50 years ago and it's intact more or less. So they get on board and they find some crew members in suspended animation. 2 die because somebody's been contacting one of them through VR, because they all have these VR glasses. And they contact him. And they saved 2 of them. And it all comes out that the doctor, who she thinks she's been talking, is not the council, it's an AI in orbit. There's this supercomputer in orbit over the planet. But I think it's breaking down, and only these 2 people can save it. And they thought they were back on Earth 50 years later because, you know, because the ship, but the computer crashed them back on planet. And I don't think they want people coming to the planet, you know, because they said that we can't live there. This is where final episode that we can't live on this planet. Well, it all comes out because when they left Earth, everybody on Earth has these chips in the back, like these filaments, so they can monitor your health. And they're all like getting ill and that because this computer is affecting it all. And they're all like getting, like they can't move, they're getting sick. And it ends up, they find out about this computer and that this avatar she thought was a person on council. It's an avatar. And sort of like, anyway, they fix it. These 2 people die who they find, and they fix the computer and they all get killed except Devon. It all comes out she's got a secret disease and she collapses, you know. And I thought, are you kidding me? And they put her in suspended animation on ship, and that's it. That's where it finished. That's it. That was the end of Earth 2. And I just thought, well, you just let yourself down here. I mean, there is some decent episodes in here that hold above the line for it to be a classic. One, the writing with the pilot episode and certain episodes there's potential. The characters are very good. And third of all, where this could have gone. I reckon you could have got a 5-year run out of this. You know, and you could have drawn a conclusion to it after 5 years with a story. You know, but at the end of the day, Earth 2 went up its own backside and it sunk badly. It really did. But it has that smidgen of could have been a classic. And I can see the potential of Earth 2. So I'm not going to totally destroy this show because there is hope in here. You know, I thought if they brought Earth 2 back, and it was done on I think it'd have to be more intense than what it was, and less of the boring stuff, and not ramped up into action, but just brought more together, you know, in certain in certain ways, like having a thread going through what the entire seasons, building to certain big points and big reveals. I think it would have worked. I mean, the council thing got dropped after 8 episodes, then brought back in final episode, trying to give you this mind blowing twist, which did not work. So yeah, Earth 2 could have been a classic, definitely, but it's only just making it above the line. It just goes over the line. It won't like Streets of Fire, just like that, you know. But I will stand by it. It stays in my DVD collection, and you never know, I might go back to it at some point. You never know. So that's this week's episode. It's 2 episodes this week of Could Have Been a Classic. Let me know your thoughts on Earth 2, guys. I've said how I feel about it. And yeah, I will see you on the next Could Have Been a Classic. And you're not going to believe what's lined up next. Oh, yes.